Hello, my little dart monkeys, and well, this is a completely different video. This is no gaming. We're not gaming right now, all right? This is serious business because I encountered something that got me incredibly needlessly worked up to a point where I felt like I just had to talk about it. So I'm sure that some of you have at least remember the show Hell of a Boss from Vivzy Pop, right? Uh, but and I assume that at least some of you have seen a mafia movie at some point in your lives. And well, as an enjoyer of both of these, when I saw an animated furry show set during the Prohibition era in my YouTube recommended, I was pleasantly surprised because that's something like that's not a combination I ever expected to see. Now, at this point, I feel that it's my responsibility to tell you that if you haven't seen the pilot for Lackadaisy, you should watch it because a lot of people do like it, and I guess I get it. But after reading the comments section and seeing nothing but "Wow, this is so good! Wow, amazing! I love that!" I feel like I got the feeling that I should voice my own opinions, and because I'm a coward who dares not strike the hornet's nest, and I don't want any furries putting a pipe bomb in my mailbox. I decided that I'd make a video which is much less likely to get seen by anyone at all, rather than comment where someone might make constructed arguments against my ramblings. All right. Well, now that that's all out of the way, immediately as you click on the video, the episode starts with, well, it starts with an intro. It starts with an intro that says, "Please wear headphones" or something. I I have no idea why. It does not ever come up. It is not an ASMR show, so I don't really get it. But after that, we get, I guess, singing, kind of. It's more subpar poetry accompanied by music, and when I say poetry, I'm using that term very loosely. It's more just rhyming words occasionally as some like very backgroundy music plays. But I'm no expert on the field of poetry or music, so you know. What I am an expert in is being a consumer of media. And I know for a fact that when a character starts singing in a cartoon or movie, it's already a terrible sign. It's worse if the music is bad, and if it's the first thing you're greeted by, it is a complete catastrophe. I understand that a lot of people don't have a problem with this as much as I do, but I cannot think of a single person who I've ever talked to who has actually unironically ever said that they like when characters in cartoons or movies start singing for no reason at all. Now, of course, I could already imagine that some of you are referring to my previous statement about liking Hell of a Boss and pointing out that there's singing in that as well. But while I did find it really annoying at first, eventually the characters grew dear enough to me to where I was able to let it slide and appreciate it. Now, not as part of the episode, but as a separate thing. And I mean, who knows, right? Because it's only the pilot that's out so far, so maybe this show can do the same. But and like and maybe I would be able to forgive them if the characters do become so very good and well defined and awesome that it redeems them completely. But so far, we have not seen anything even close to character definition. I'm not even going to call it development. You want me to give you a basic, very basic Neanderthal rundown of the main characters? All right, so we've got guy number one. I don't know their names, by the way, because I did not remember them. Because why would I? The first guy, he rhymes. That's it. He just has like that, the quirky, random, hee hee ha ha kind of person who's like, "Ooh, look at me, I'm so chaotic." Hee hee. Those people. Yeah, that. Then we have the girl of the main trio, I guess, who mostly was just scared, didn't really do much, except doesn't know how to drive, but can fix a car after it's been shot the fuck up, which, now, well, I'm not trying to claim that being able to drive is a prerequisite for a mechanic. It still seems a little bit strange to me. And then we have the other guy who I'm not even fucking with you here, says the words, "I have a fire inside me," unironically. And if you don't see a problem with that, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you grow past the age of being I'm 12 and this is badass soon. That's truly. At that moment, I decided to scroll into the description to see who is responsible for this disaster and how this thing came to be that I was looking at. And at this point, I should mention the animation is based off a webcomic, apparently. And I have not read that, so it is very much possible that my gripe in terms of the characters is more with the comic than the show. Sure, let's leave that be. And it is worth noting as well, like PPS and all that, that I did glance at the comic and it seemed like it seemed okay. It did not seem as bad, so maybe there's still hope for the show, but who knows. However, in the description they boast, and here's a little excerpt, made by a crew of more than 160 skilled artists across the world. Now this already was enough to make my eyebrows shoot up in surprise, because that's not what you expect from something posted on YouTube for free for all to see, you know? And if anything, because of how YouTube gives the feeling of it being a smaller scale production, when you say we have so many people working for us and like it's like there's so many people on this, it actually gives me the opposite effect of it fills me with the concern that everyone is going to be dragging it in their own direction and putting their own spin on it to a point where it becomes an incomprehensible mess. Now, thankfully, it seems that that disaster was avoided. Maybe the director is just that good. Let's talk about the animation. Seeing as we touched on the comic itself briefly, then let's look at the visual aspect. Now, it goes without saying that I can't draw for shit, never have, probably never will. But here on the Derpat channel, we follow the doctrine of when something is poorly done, we should be able to make fun of it, whether we can replicate it or not. The whole episode is in this weird, choppy 20 frames per second, and while I understand that, you know, with animation especially, bumping that number up even by a little leads to a boatload more work, especially if we're dealing with something that's like half an hour long. It kind of caused this weird situation. Well, it made me very conscious of the animation where I wasn't really able to focus that well on what was going on because of how weirdly choppy everything seemed, you know? And now, allow me to go on a little conspiracy theory tangent here. Um, Throughout the episode, the voice acting sounds off. I don't. Now, I'm not talking about the accents or the generic Louisiana dialect that some of the characters have. I mean more so the sense that it feels disconnected from what we're seeing. So, trying to figure out how to word this. I think the best way to put it is that it feels like I'm watching something that's been dubbed over, you know, rather than the characters on screen being the ones who are talking. And I think that could be somewhat related to the frame rate because, you know, the voices aren't in 24 frames per second, but that's just a theory. I can't be sure, you know, game theory and all that. Fuck you. But I can't exactly be sure on that. That's just my best guess, so I guess let's get back to where we were before. Now, after all that angry ranting and raving, let's take a little positivity break. Woohoo! And if I had to say something that I like about Lackadaisy, I do like the art style. It looks nice. But I'm starting to think that maybe some of those 160 people may not be as skilled as their resume claims. There are several instances where you see shit like this. Now, like I said, I'm not an artist, but I'm fairly certain that those are not supposed to be there. Those little lines, you see those to like map out the proportions of a face? Yeah, I don't think those are supposed to be visible. Now, you could make the claim that this was an artistic choice, but considering how randomly and sporadically they appear and disappear and then reappear, uh, I'm left to assume that the 50 plus people credited for cleanup, along with the cleanup leads or whatever, were just there for the bag and didn't actually give a shit. And while I can't exactly hold them accountable because I didn't see it at first either, when it's like 50 fucking people, someone should say something. But like I said, I didn't see it at first, so big ups to my man Artixmo for putting that one out. But send him the anthrax, please. Uh, but once he pointed it out, I couldn't unsee it, and now neither can you. Now, smoothly grooving back to the characters because I have no idea how to structure a script. I really don't like the characters, as you may have already gathered, because I don't consider rhyming or being edgy to be valid alternatives to character development. And if you do feel that those are valid options of, having a personality, well, I please, the Discord link is in the description. I'd like to have a few words so that I can understand what happened in your life. And the characters felt so like generic and bland and distant, so that when the scene in the quarry was unfolding, I was genuinely expecting that I was expecting them to die and that the story would instead follow the weird cat guy and Louisiana combo or whatever. Speaking of Catman, he feels so generically criminal mastermindy, like it just hurts, it becomes painful. But I'm willing to let that slide because it's hard to create an original character. Fine, whatever. However, I will now go on to complain about the instances where he fires his gun. Now, depending on if you like the show or not, you either probably got very angry or very happy that I was going to start ripping into this. Because I saw a lot of comments on that, on the pilot episode that said, wow, those were epic, very cool, super clever, nice job. And while I agree that being able to see what he's shooting at from the reflection in his glasses is cool, whoever made the creative decision, and I use the word creative for convenience sake, to have a clock ticking sound effect as he aims. Who are you? Why did you do this? And would you be willing to fight me? It's not cool, it's cheesy at best, and horribly distracting at worst. I feel like the real nail in the coffin about that, though, is the fact that that small little detail caused me more of an emotional reaction than anything that happened in the pilot episode. And that's it. Or at least I can't think of anything else that I have a problem with. I guess to close, do I think that it is a bad show? Now, it's hard to say because it's just the pilot episode that's out, to my knowledge. No, I don't think it's bad. I think it has very, very, very big, annoying, glaring issues that should have been weeded out if you have a team of over 150 fucking people. But these could be fixed if given time and if they want to and choose to. And I guess because it was funded by Kickstarter, maybe we should instead be thankful that anything at all came out of it rather than, the way most Kickstarters go, which is either into obscurity or to court. Now, obviously, if you haven't figured out by now, this is a half-joking criticism of the show. I don't wish anything negative upon the people or their project, and if you enjoyed it, good. I don't want anyone to feel personally attacked from this, but I just felt personally, as I was watching it, that I had to shout from the rooftop, so to speak, about how stupid I found some of these things. And I do hope that you enjoyed either the pilot episode itself or me complaining about it. Either way, feel free to discuss in the comments how you feel about it. I am always open to hear other people's opinions. I'm very curious to see how some of you think about it. And if you completely disagree, then do let me know because, discussion is important. But other than that, I think that's it for now. I mean, I guess if if you thought I was funny, or if you thought that my voice just sounded soothing enough to sleep to, then I'd appreciate if you'd like the video and subscribe. But other than that, have a good day, and I'll see you some other time.